we look at Ramzan right around the corner in terms of price hike and inflation. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Safiullah Gauri, who's a legal expert. Thank you for joining us today. Also a barrister. Naseem Siddiqui, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today. Safiullah, how do you see the Daska election now that, of course, we've seen the victory of the PMLN in the sense that the election is going forth. But do you think that the PTI will be able to hold, themselves steady in this election, prove the fact that, they are in fact the beloved party still? Or do you think that, this will mean something else for them?
So, Mahrukh, clearly the Daska elections showed a grand rift between the public and the way public is responding, and not just the fact that the response of the public is something that the ruling party did not expect. We therefore saw the fiascos that occurred and everything. And so I think PTI now going forward is going to be better prepared. There is no doubt about it. They would have obviously taken up this time to try and galvanize what the entire strategy is, because the Daska elections got so much publicity, because the entire nation is looking at them. I'm absolutely certain that PTI would have used everything that it has as far as a political party is concerned, and also using state machinery to try and get these elections. I think in Pakistan it's a historic fact that by-elections are usually just won by the ruling party.
It's very rare. That much harder for the PMLN.
Absolutely, because the ruling party has the entire state machinery functioning for them, and anything that happened this time around which the PTI did not like, they would have obviously changed. They would have changed the cogs, they would have changed the wheels. But also, at the same time, I do agree that the PMLN win, in the initial PMLN win at the very least, would have given the workers that extra impetus to work harder this time and try and get it. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting challenge to both the parties. That said, I do strongly believe that with the demise of PDM as it stands, the entire opposition seems to have fallen flat. I don't really see how any party members' morale would be lifted and what they would achieve by winning the Daska elections, for instance. Because PDM as it stands seems to be lost, and the entire brouhaha that they had made regarding the elections and how they are going to try and topple the government, it's not going to happen now with the Daska elections as it was previously going to happen.
I mean, none of the major political leaders go there.
Absolutely.
We're not seeing any.
We haven't seen anything happening from the opposition side. So whereas PMLN has every reason to fight back, the morale is definitely going to be down, and PTI, further enamored and further emboldened by the fact that PDM is now splitting, is going to definitely try and put in that extra effort to try and win this election that they might require. Previous elections and the previous loss could then perhaps be just attributed to oversight by PTI and nothing else.
Right, Naseem sir, do you agree?
Yes, I little bit agree with Sabi, but I can say that usually you have seen that in by-elections, usually governments win because they've got all government machinery. But in the era of PTI government, you have seen they have lost by-election. So that means they are not using the government machinery for winning the elections. But as far as the Daska seat is concerned, it's a stronghold of PMLN. But PTI has given a tough time over there, although they were losing in the last election, but their vote has been increased. Like 15% vote has been increased. So this is tomorrow, this election commission's duty to hold that fair and free election, because they have given all the authority by the Supreme Court as well, and all the security forces, they are working under election commission as well. So holding a free and fair election is very important, because it's just one election in one constituency, whereas you have to hold general elections in whole of the country. So it should be an example for that one. So let's see what happens tomorrow, but it looks like that it would be a tough competition.
Right, let me come back to you. We also have Abdul Samad Yaqoob, who's leader PTI, with us. Samad sir, what are your hopes for what happens in Daska tomorrow? Is the PTI feeling very optimistic? As of course you are the government in power, a lot is being said about the fact that likely that the government in power generally does have a better chance of winning the by-elections. How do you see tomorrow?
Well, personally, I believe that the one constituency must not be given that hype or that importance. I mean, there are some strongholds, there are some pockets where some parties are, strong. So we cannot judge from a single constituency that either, and the popularity of the government or opposition should not be tested in one constituency. Let it happen. Let the results come. Let's see. Perhaps, probably there can be an opposition candidate who can be more stronger over there. Every constituency has a different dynamics over there. So we are optimistic. We hope that, and we believe that we won the last time, and we believe that we will going to win this election. But here I completely agree with the Safi Saab, the barrister Safi. Yes, it's a trend. I mean, mostly. Most of the time, the ruling party is always the one who win they win the elections. So let's see. Let's hope for the good.
But you're saying that itself is not indicative of your power as a political party or indication of your popularity.
You cannot judge by. There is not a. I don't believe that this is a parameter to judge the popularity of the government. I mean, if we contest election in the interior Sindh, definitely we will be losing. This is going to happen because their dynamics are different. Interior Sindh, the dynamics of interior Sindh is different. And Daska, yes, I agree with my panelist, the journalist. Yes, they're right that yes, it used to be the stronghold of the PMLN. Yes, we agree that, but we believe that.
You think that you won last time? I mean, you are, of course. I mean, you. That's what your stance has been. That it was wrongly, the win itself was PTI's, and that Sialkot, Daska, the election itself should also have not been. I mean, of course, you contested that in the Supreme Court. There's no denying that.
Neck to neck contest. Competition. Let's see what the result will be. I'm expecting that. I hope that PTI will win the election, but losing the election doesn't mean that we are losing the popularity.
Right, of course. Okay, right, fair enough. I will come back to you. Safila, what about what's happening within the PTI? You know, we've seen the cases as far as Jahangir Khan Tareen is concerned. We've seen, today there were reports of course, of bank accounts being frozen also by the FIA. How do you see the development within the PTI? Of course, he's been a stalwart of PTI. He's also been one of the founding members. All of that, how do you see it?
I think it's a very interesting question, Mahrukh, and this is a question that merits a very long debate because there is a lot that's happening in front of us and also behind the scenes, and there are also things that ought to happen that may or may not happen. But so a lot of people are saying right now that because of everything that's happening, Jahangir Tareen himself has said that he's being victimized by his own words, that he's being victimized by PTI's so-called accountability drive, and so he's obviously shown some displeasure as to what PTI's role is. But then senior journalists like Najam Sethi have stepped forward and said that accompanying him is a host of 15 MPAs and MNAs, and that he might go ahead and make a forward block. Now, whether he makes a forward block or not is largely irrelevant at this point of time, because Jahangir Tareen has lost a lot of popularity. As far as we are concerned, ordinary citizens of Pakistan, we haven't heard much about Jahangir Tareen in the last couple of years, and so we don't really see him as much of a leader anymore. And so Jahangir Tareen may, even if he were to split from PTI, Sheila Raza from People's Party has come forward and said that he might join People's Party. Various rumors are going around, so I don't want to comment on what the rumors are.
But certainly any political party would want him.
Perhaps, of course, because he's a valuable asset, no doubt. Even for PTI, he was very valuable. He was their troubleshooter. He was the man who fixed everything. He's the person who arranged the elections for 2018. And so, of course, he's somebody who can be viewed as a very, very resourceful person. But I think what's more important is to try and focus on what could actually happen if things were to go south for PTI. So what we have in front of us right now is the possibility of Jahangir Tareen leaving, along with 15 MPAs and MNAs, and that will hardly dent PTI. That's at least what a normal, ordinary, rational mind would think. But the reality is that it will hurt PTI a lot more if Jahangir Tareen were to play his cards right. Now, I just want to...
How do you mean?
Exactly. Now, I'll tell you what I mean. PTI, when it first started the campaigning for the 2018 elections, PTI One, largely because of the South Punjab vote bank. The South Punjab vote bank is where PTI is the strongest, not in North Punjab, where now it is focusing all its efforts in Dafka. Rather in South Punjab, in this belt of Multan, Bahawalpur, Rahim Khan, in fact, Yaqub Saab is from Multan. It's because of efforts of people like him that PTI, in fact, won the 2018 elections. Now, why it won was because it made a few promises. PTI stated at the very top of its manifesto that it will create a new province for South Punjab. It said in its 7-point agenda, the top 7 things that PTI will do. One of the 7 things was the creation of a South Punjab province.
Right.
Furthermore, it said that it will create that province in 100 days. In its 100-point agenda, PTI has said that it will create that province. Throughout every place that Imran Khan visited, in Rahim Khan, in Bahawalpur, in Multan, in Muzaffargarh, everywhere he said the same thing, that I will give you a province, I will give you a province. And to show that he's serious about giving that province, he even made a South Punjab Secretariat. And the function and the manifesto and the function of that South Punjab Secretariat was to eventually take over as the South Punjab Province Secretariat. Now what you've seen in the last 1 month is that the South Punjab Secretariat has been rolled back. There is no more representation of South Punjab that is separate from that of Northern Punjab anymore. Everything that PTI has said has been rolled back. And these 15 MPs and MNAs that we speak of, who stand with Jahangir Tareen right now, if you have noticed, they're all from South Punjab. They're from Muzaffargarh, they're from Multan, they're from Laiya, they're from Rahim Khan, all of these places. So
you're saying if that breaks away,
they are going to play the card of a separate province. And a separate province has been a long-standing demand of the people of South Punjab. It's not something that's happened today. It's a demand that they had with PMLN, it's a demand that they had with People's Party, it's a demand that they've had with PML-CAF. And all of these parties have a South Punjab province in their manifesto. Even PTI has it in its manifesto, even to date.
Right.
It's just not going ahead with it.
Right.
And so this is why I believe that if Jahangir Tareen were to capitalize on it, he will have a lot of cannon fodder to go forward with.
Naseem Saab, do you agree? Do you think that there is, a chance? Of course, there's no denying that South Punjab, it was an issue, has been an issue, it's always been there. Manifesto, of course, and of course the southern part of, when we talk about Bahawalpur, Multan, Rahim Khan, this belt will be extremely important to PTI.
Yes, Mahrukh, I agree with you that southern part is very important, but you can see that at the moment Jahangir Tareen, no doubt he's a heavyweight politician, but at the moment he cannot even contest the election because he's banned from Supreme Court and he's not in the assemblies at the moment as well. So some people definitely can go with him as a courtesy, but I don't think that will make a big change because he will be then, people know at the moment that he is with PTI. But when there is government of Imran Khan who has got a charismatic personality, then Usman Buzdar is sitting in Punjab as a chief minister, so people will be diverting towards the party. They won't be going with Jahangir Tareen for a longer time. That's what I think. Because he cannot contest elections, he don't have party at the moment. Yes, Jahangir Tareen can join any party, but I would surprise that People's Party and Muslim League Noon, they kept on saying that the corrupts are sitting on the right and left of Prime Minister Imran Khan. They have done a lot with Jahangir Tareen. They criticized a lot. The criticism was not on Jahangir Tareen, then how can they accept him in these parties? But
that has always been done.
Yeah, but in Pakistan, everything is possible. So I don't think so that Jahangir Tareen can give a big damage to PTI government at the moment. And definitely he's got the cases in the court. He should have faced those ones and he should quit himself from the courts. So that would be a better thing, because in the program I heard Prime Minister Imran Khan,
everyone has courts. All the politicians of this country, barring the disqualification, most of them do have cases in court. If we look at Mariam Nawaz, we look at Zardari Saab, all our major
political cases should be speed up, so at least one should be guilty or not guilty. I heard Prime Minister Imran Khan in a program that he was saying very good words for Jahangir Tareen, and he was saying that he is really missing him, but he has to clear himself from the courts. So I think Jahangir Tareen should concentrate on the courts and get it himself cleared from there, and then he can join PTI, he can move with PTI, because he has been with Imran Khan for the last 10 years. He has got a lot of struggle for the PTI government, so he should go to the courts and
let me come back to you. Ji, Samad Sahab, you know, there is a lot in terms of it is being said about Jahangir Khan Tareen and the fact that, of course, he was behind, you know, a part of your success, a very little part of success of PTI has to be attributed to the political maneuverings of Jahangir Khan Tareen, his experience, all of that. How do you see this development for the PTI at this time? I mean, of course, clearing him or not clearing him from courts, the fact that he's talking about victimization, and that too at the behest of your government at this time.
Well, personally, being a founding member of PTI or being a worker of PTI, I wouldn't say myself a leader, but I would say rather a worker. Jahangir Tareen for us is like a family member or a family leader who always who supported us, who always on the other hand, there was a Shah Mahmood. I mean, would never been the part of any lobby or any group. I mean, at least I myself never been any part of any lobby, with so-called lobby. But this case has two aspects. I mean, the masses, the workers of PTI, how PTI workers perceived it. I can say that they believe that this is a victimization. Yes, I mean, I'm very clear about it, that most of the workers believe that this is a political victimization within the party. I mean, there are some certain elements who are in the government right now who belong from PTI, and they are now in the government positions. Perhaps, probably they are trying to create a rift between the Prime Minister and the Jahangir Tareen. But let the court decide this issue. But this is massively perceived that yes, there is I mean, sort of political victimization. I used to, never had I supported Jahangir Tareen.
But how do you perceive it?
Personally, I mean, when this case was, this scam was erupted, I used to criticize Jahangir Tareen. I mean, a year ago, there are a lot of my videos on record, in which in talk shows I used to criticize. But at the moment, I mean, my sentiment is it's totally reversed. I mean, I believe that I personally feel that he is being victimized, or at least it shouldn't be done in this way. I mean, the way he has been left alone, or the way he's been portrayed, it shouldn't be like this. I mean, at least let the court decide. I mean, he is all are allegations. Nothing is proven yet. So don't treat him as someone who is guilty. I mean,
But why? Do you think, you know, because we saw a lot of Jahangir Khan Tareen himself said that there was, you know, people within the PTI, in the interviews he gave, he had earlier said that there were elements within the PTI who were against him, who had perhaps, you know, his relationship with the Prime Minister had been spoiled because of them. There was a lot against him. Do you think that that perhaps is behind what's happening, the way it's happening, like you said?
Exactly, I agree. And there were see, in the political parties, no, not everyone can be on same page. I mean, since he joined the party, since he became closer to the Prime Minister, there were balance factors. I mean, in every party this happens. I mean, this is your business. That even within the party, and when we contested the intra-party election, yes, they were grouping, they campaigned, there was a Jahangir Tareen group, no doubt in it. So since then, I mean, there are some rifts, but that was okay. Since then, I mean, once you have a democracy in your political party, it's fine. But once if it is perceived that Jahangir Tareen is being victimized, I mean, this message shouldn't be conveyed. I mean, everyone should know that everything has happened on the merit. Not only Jahangir Tareen has a sugar mills, even Khusro Bakhtiar has a sugar mills, even other political leaders has a sugar mill. So everyone should be treated in the same manners. I mean, so why we feel like that he is being victimized? I mean, we shouldn't feel like if he is a guilty, he should be treated the way the other persons are treated. But this is not the right way. I mean,
Right, okay, let me come back to you, Safiullah. I think Swan Saab has said a lot.
It was very interesting, but I think this is where we need to now understand and try and see what's really happening. So this, like I said, this is something that shows a lot about what's happening behind the scenes, and there's a lot that goes on. But once again, I will not talk about what's happening within PTI, but I will talk about what's happening outside of PTI and in the public, and try and see what this can do. So the first thing is that this whole idea of victimization of Jahangir Tareen is something that even many workers of PTI believe in. They think Abdul Samad Sahab himself has just stated that he believes that he's being treated unfairly, and in this case it's not just Jahangir Tareen, it's also his son, it's also his wife, it's the rest of his family members. So when you target, or when families are, for instance, involved, then there are different types of sentiments. Then because these people, they all work together, they are family workers, they visit each other's homes, they don't want anything happening to the children and to the wives at least. This is our culture. And so that's the first thing that's going to happen. It's going to create a lot of resentment by the workers, by the people who look up to Jahangir Tareen against PTI. But then once again we have to couple that with the fact, and this is something that not anybody else has commented on, and once again I want to go back to that, the unfulfilled promises pertaining to Southern Punjab. What about that? The people of Southern Punjab are still feeling victimized. They still do not have the province that they wanted. In fact, even the secretariat that was given as a little carrot to try and show that they are serious about the province has been now removed.
Okay, let me just, legally, the status of the disqualification that Jahangir Khan Tareen has at this time, what does it mean for him? Can he, like Naseem Saab earlier said, he can join a political party?
Of course he can join
a political party.
He can. To my understanding, he is able to join any political party. He may or may not be able to be the head of the political party, but he does not need to be, just like Altaf Hussain was not the head of MQM, or was not even necessarily the founder of MQM. So there are many political parties in Pakistan where,
like for example Nawaz Sharif
at the moment. So you don't need to necessarily hold a position in the political party.
He can join the political party, but he cannot hold any
legal office in that political party. Absolutely. So he cannot be an office holder in that political party, but he can definitely go join one, even create one. Maybe his son can create the political party.
So when we say that he has a disqualification, it doesn't bar him from participating in politics at all.
Of course not. He can hold jalsas. He can do whatever he wants to. He simply cannot become an MNA and join the assembly. But as we are continuing to see,
which probably would not matter to a man like him.
We see the majority of Pakistani leaders who are now influencing Pakistani politics are in fact not even in the assemblies. Imran Khan himself, who was one of the most influential leaders, was not in the assembly until just 2018. So it's all right.
So just because he is disqualified doesn't mean he can't be a threat to the government.
I feel that if he is able to build a proper narrative, if he works on that narrative, he can be a serious threat to the government. And this is the first threat that PTI would have ever seen, because before this we have only seen the likes of Aisha Gulalai, who were really irrelevant, breaking away from PTI. This is the first. If it were to break, if there were to be a schism, this would be the first major hit on PTI at a time when PDM is breaking. PTI has its own challenges to address. And once again, I would like at least my fellow guest Abdul Samad Yaqub Saab to comment on the status of the South Punjab province.
I want to go to him on that. But Naseem Saab, what about the fact that the elements within the PTI, who I'm sure that it is not possible for every member of any political party, whether in government or out, to be completely satisfied with whatever. So if there are elements within the PTI which are not satisfied or dissatisfied for whatever reasons, then it gives them. Do you think it gives them an out?
That's again, I will say that there is the charisma of the charismatic personality of the leaders, like Benazir Bhutto, Nawaz Sharif, Imran Khan. I have seen many big stalwarts, heavyweight politicians like late Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi Saab, Pirzada Saab, and many others. Those who left People's Party, they were nowhere. And similarly, I have seen many people in Muslim League Noon, when they left Noon League, they were nowhere. So if Jahangir Tareen leaves PTI, I don't think so that
like
it will.
For example, Javed from Multan.
Javed Hashmi, when he left the Muslim League Noon and joined PTI, he has lost his credibility.
There was a lot said about him.
Bhutto left Ayub Khan's cabinet, formed People Party, and we have history as to how successful.
And we had the Bhutto never said.
He is still alive.
can still have the Kareem is 50 years down the line.
But Kareem is very much technical person in the politics. He has done a lot for PTI, but I don't think so. Politically, he has gained a lot in other parties because he's been criticized by PPP and PMLN as well. So definitely, let's see what happens in the future. But at the moment, I don't think so that it will be giving any damage to the Punjab government or to the national government.
Let's talk about the southern province, which was promised by the PTI. No headway has been made towards the southern province. Of course, that was a huge, you got a lot of votes because of that. The popularity in the southern Punjab was the main factor with the PTI government. Do you think that there are plans for the province itself? Because it seems to have taken, a back seat for the government.
Mahrukh, it is very clear that the province can be, can be built or can be formed only by the constitutional amendment, which needed 2/3 majority. Everyone knows that. So it can be formed only. It can be possible when the opposition is on the board. Let us be clear for everyone.
But the opposition has, like Safiullah is saying, the opposition has already put in the bill.
The bill is pending.
Okay,
and the bill hasn't been taken up.
They have their manifesto. When even in the PTI, we haven't reached any consensus that either the Bahawalpur should be the capital or the Multan should be the capital. The Chima Sahab, he wants Bahawalpur to become the capital. So we haven't made any consensus yet. But yes, there is a difference in this government that there is a...
But Samartha, when you say that you haven't reached a consensus or you say that the bill is pending, all of these things, you don't think that this can be a potentially damaging factor for the PTI? If there's no headway on this, because we saw earlier on Khusro Bakhtiar, there's a whole, there were a host of politicians who took up the mantle, who were given, like Safiullah is also saying, there was a whole secretariat created, and now all of that has died down.
Well, at least there is, we got little relieved by getting the secretariat. Their additional secretaries are over there in Multan. So this is a little bit, I can say, some step towards to achieve that level. To get the, but so far we haven't fulfill that promise that we will make a province. Yes, we are yet failed, but being a citizen of Multan, I feel like there is a great difference now. I don't have to rush to Lahore. I can meet my additional secretary over there. So there is a difference, but let's see. Let's hope for good in the future. That one day.
Other than hope, do you know of any definite plans that the government has of proceeding forth as far as the southern Punjab is concerned? Because PDM now, we saw a lot of attention, of course, as far as the government is concerned. There was a lot of on the PDM, the Jalsas, the movement itself. That also now very recently has fizzled out at this moment. Do you think now perhaps is the time the government will perhaps go back to looking at its promises, its the working towards fulfillment of what the people have wanted, and southern Punjab is a huge part of that?
Well, it is perceived by the voters of Multan, that the voters of the south, that yes, they are progressing. They're progressing, but they haven't achieved that level. Even personally, I believe that yes, we needed a province, but it will not be possible until there is a consensus on this. That Multan will be the capital, or their geographical position, which part of the south will be in the new province. I believe that after that we should go for the other provinces as well. But let's see when it can be possible.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's hope for good.
If I may just talk about this. So this is something that I have personally been very interested in. This is one of the reasons why I keep bringing it up. I drafted the bill that was eventually passed from the Senate. It is now in the National Assembly. The bill has already passed the Senate. Because I drafted it, that's why I sort of keep tabs on it and try and find out what it is. Like, the bill was presented by MQM. It has had full support from People's Party and PM Nawaz. PTI as a party says in its manifesto that they are going to create a Southern Punjab province. That Southern Punjab province, the boundaries of it has already been laid out by the PTI. They already have a map. In fact, Samasa would know there is a map of this new Pakistan in Imran Khan's office, and it has these new provinces that have to be charted out with clear boundaries. And capital of that province is to be Multan. This has clearly been promised by Imran Khan when he visited Multan. On the many times that he was asked this question, he has clearly stated that it is to be Multan, rightly so, because Multan is a much bigger city than Bahawalpur. There is a separate demand for a Bahawalpur province. That is a separate demand, a demand that PTI has not ceded to. The demand for the Bahawalpur province is a demand that has been presented by PML Nawaz, and PML Nawaz accepts that there should be a Bahawalpur province, not a South Punjab province. People's Party and PTI both have in their manifestos and everything that they've presented to the people so far clearly stated that they agree with the idea of a South Punjab province. Now we can have a debate on whether it should be called a South Punjab province or a Saraikistan province. But very clearly,
the fact is it's been there, like you're saying, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda with clear boundaries, and these boundaries have been demarcated in that bill as well. The bill that I just spoke of, which has been presented by the Senate, cleared by the Senate, and is now pending in the National Assembly, awaiting its 2/3 majority so that this constitutional change may take place. Also, I would like to remind that this bill has also been cleared by PML Nawaz in their government from the Punjab Assembly. So it's not even like Punjab is resisting it.
There is no
only the
issue
National
about
Assembly.
the 2/3 majority issue as far as the
It's only the National Assembly where this problem is stuck at the moment.
So what do you think? Why is it stuck in your opinion?
I feel that because there are people in Pakistan who believe that if we were to create a province in South Punjab, then there will be a demand for a province in Karachi. And because they fear that Karachi province might have links to India, that is why they constantly try and shoot down any other province.
But you're saying the fact of the South Punjab might be relevant because of the Jahangir Khan Tareen phenomena at this time.
Because all the support that he has, all the 15 MPAs and MNAs that have stood with him, gone and are going to be going with him to the FIE offices, just like Maryam Nawaz, and she had supporters standing for her
within her own political party, or the PDM.
So we have seen that
never from the PTI.
So we have seen that the politicians supporting Jahangir Khan Tareen are almost exclusively from Southern Punjab, not from Northern Punjab. We see a clear divide here.
Right,
that is my answer.
I will just come back to you. Let me go. Samad, why are your MPAs going with Jahangir Khan Tareen? Are they, when they know the stance of the government is that he should exonerate himself, the whole investigation should take its course. The fact that members of the PTI are accompanying him, what does that mean for the PTI?
I mean, I won't interpret the meaning of this, but I would say that there is nothing wrong in meeting with Jahangir Tareen.
No, but why? But this is, of course, I mean, taking him blatantly to is this like a show? Is it a threatening overture by Jahangir Khan Tareen to tell your political party that your own people are with him? Is it telling him that perhaps he has that kind of power to have a forward block, which is what is being said on the media? What is it?
No, in fact, it is not meant for the forward block actually, but the message is conveyed to individuals. I mean, I don't want to name over here, but this message is not for the government or for any bloc. Yes, this is the solidarity that they are standing with the Jahangir Tareen. Even I myself show solidarity that yes, he's a part of Jahangir Tareen is still part of PTI. I mean, he's no more general secretary, but he's still the part of PTI. So if they are going or having dinners, it's your business. I mean, at this moment, they should go over there. I mean, they should show the solidarity. Jahangir Tareen is, let it be clear that Jahangir Tareen is not against Imran Khan, not against the party chairman. He is not leaving the party. He's not going to leave the party at all. But the message is conveyed to some of the elements within the PTI, and it is clearly conveyed to them.
But your other leaders, for example, who have been facing within the PTI, have also been facing this, if not the similar kind of, not the FIA, the NAB on different occasions, but we haven't seen this kind of support from within the party for them. And this is certainly
they don't
different.
hold that pressure. I mean, Jahangir Tareen was one of the most senior leader. I mean, he was the general secretary. So General Secretary is the one who is leading the party. He was the most key person in 2018 elections. I mean, in the elections campaign. So you cannot compare Jahangir Tareen with someone else. Yes, you can compare Jahangir Tareen with some more senior leader of the PTI, but not with Aleem Khan or not with someone who is on the regional level or provincial
Aleem Khan
level.
was at one time thought to be the candidate for CM Punjab also. I mean, he was someone he is still someone who is a big part of PTI, wouldn't you say?
He was thought to be the candidate, but even the most junior, the one who joined the party 3 months ago before joining the election, became the CM. So it doesn't mean that someone...
Okay, fair enough. Ji, Naseem Saab.
I would say the same thing that Jahangir Tareen owns PTI at the moment, and most of the leaders of PTI,
But what about these reports of PPP saying that he's going to join them, coming on media and saying
they are just enjoying the situation, and they want to divert the attention from PDM to Jahangir Tareen. Whereas Jahangir Tareen has said that he is still a part of PTI, and I'm listening to Aleem Khan today, and yesterday it was Shehzadat, but they said that we own Jahangir Tareen and we have got good wishes for him, but let him face in the court and let the court decide.
But at the same time, when you say that he is owning PTI, he's also talking about victimization.
Yeah, I
so
think
there is a
victimization is from some bureaucratic doors, because he named someone as well, and he's just pointing out over there that somebody is aparting him from PTI at the moment, whereas he don't want to leave PTI or Imran Khan, and he has got very good connections with the party.
Right.
So let's see what happens.
Ji, Safiullah.
Right. So I think that
Safiullah, let's talk about the PDM at this time, the situation with the PDM. We've seen how it fizzled out. We talked about resignations, and then now with the disagreement between the PPP, PMLN, also particularly this whole issue of Long March also now. What do you think is the future?
We've spoken about this multiple times on your show as well, and I've always maintained that PDM as a political alliance was never going to last. They did not have any vision, they did not have any roadmap. It was just a small time where parties could agree on some things. This is the first time they agreed on just a few minor things, but old habits die hard. All of these political parties, they have their own habits. They try and control each other. They try and control their own party members. They have these dictatorial mindsets. They are not the kind of parties who would ever collaborate with other parties and walk along.
At the same time, what do you see now in terms of challenges for the government? Of course, the Daska election it will happen tomorrow. Regardless of what happens in the Daska election, the government is not going anywhere because of
the government is very lucky.
by-election.
I think that PTI has been consistently very lucky. They've come into power. They have had a very weak opposition. In fact, negligible opposition. We've just seen the opposition stab itself to death. PTI didn't even have to do anything. They just crushed themselves easily. And so this is once again where PTI stands to make a lot of headway. They can once again, they have just been given another chance perhaps by divine intervention, perhaps by their own smarts. Whatever has happened, the reality is they have another chance to fulfill all the promises that they've made. I still remember the promises that they've made, the 7 agenda points that they had. I remember the promises they had to fulfill in the first 100 days. We are sitting now almost 3 years into the government. I really hope that this time around they see and they show to the people that the opposition is not the problem. Their own lack of will to perform those promises is what the real problem is.
Do you think it's also because of that whole issue that we've discussed now and again that comes up that is glaringly there, that perhaps the anticipation or the expectation of how things were before they came in was glaringly different from how it turned out?
Of course, so clearly they had not taken into account a lot of international forces that would weigh down on them. I've just read today, and it was very shocking news for me to read that Imran Khan has agreed to increase taxes by 1.1 trillion rupees on behalf of the IMF. 1.1 trillion rupees. This is going to be a massive inflation bomb on the people of Pakistan. We're already suffering heavily. But of course, the people can keep on solving.
Changes. We've seen the dollar go down.
Absolutely, the dollar has gone down,
and the overall indicators.
But see, that's once again where I have to differ, because so we have a positive change, which is that the dollar goes down, and the government has taken notice of it. This is the first government that has taken notice of why the dollar is going down. We have official statements by the State Bank where they're saying that they are going to take action against anybody who they feel is trying to hold rupees or something. They feel that this is not something natural, and there might be some other problems that are happening behind the place. And so this is what my problem is, that we constantly see the government not being run by their own vision, but rather by international agencies like the IMF, perhaps by interference of the other countries. I don't know how much of that is correct, but I do honestly, honest to God, I really do hope and pray that they are able to utilize this opportunity and make the most of it. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for, once again, PTI.
Right. Dean Naseem Saab, unfortunately we're out of time. Your comments?
Yeah, I would say that the government is performing at the moment. The current account deficit has gone lower as well. The economic activities in Pakistan has increased. All the industries are performing at the moment. The housing industry is performing very well at the moment. So I think in the coming days we'll see some good economic changes and growth in Pakistan.
Right. Let's all hope that that is the situation a couple of months, maybe a year down the road. Of course, the government is making changes. We've seen the dollar go down. International indicators seem to suggest that economically the government is getting stronger. But right with that, of course, they have to now control the inflation. With Ramzan right around the corner, there's some of the changes that the people, the voters are expecting is certainly a control in price hike, which is something that the government has been concerned about from the start. Let's hope that they can do that. Certainly the opposition at this time seems to have fizzled out. The Daska election, of course, is just one by-election. Whatever happens tomorrow, we will know, but it will have perhaps little significance on the government overall. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.
Climb on, dear friend. Reach for that hold. Move past the signs of failing strength. Now grip tight that cutting fold. One move up the rocky length. Tight, clutching firm, and breathing hard. One step closer to the end.